All spring long, ESPN teased a second consecutive historic night built around Bueckers' return from injury and her status as Geno Auriemma's newest jewel. Feature packages ran in every commercial break of the women's Final Four. Digital banners promised back-to-back must-see drafts. Then the cameras rolled, mispronounced a prospect's name within 90 seconds, and never recaptured the energy. By the second pick, the linear audience had already slipped below 1.5 million, while concurrent streams, record-setting a year ago, plateaued around 200,000. Executives call that stickiness. And on this night, the glue didn't hold. No one felt the chill more acutely than the television trucks had barely cooled their engines after the 2025 WNBA draft when the overnight numbers landed on executive desks like a brick through a window. An average audience of 1.25 million N. Auriemma. For 2 seasons, the Hall of Famer has punctuated press conferences with pointed reminders that championships, not viral step-back threes, separate legends from flash-in-the-pan phenoms. He snickered when bookmakers installed Clark among early WNBA MVP candidates, labeling fans who believed the hype disrespectful. Yet the moment his own star commanded the spotlight, the viewing public yawned. The irony is exquisite, and for many longtime observers, instructive. Trophies and tradition matter, but charisma that crosses state lines is rarer and ultimately more bankable. There is no mystery left about which metrics define bankability. Average audience draws headlines, but corporate partners care just as much about how long those viewers stay. Clark's draft delivered an average watch time of 27 minutes across linear and digital, an unheard-of figure for a non-playoff event. Bueckers' draft settled at 18. Those 9 missing minutes represent millions in lost ad impressions, bonus activations, and value-added segments that advertisers paid premiums to secure. When activations underdeliver, networks owe make goods, free future commercial inventory, eroding hard-won revenue. Inside Madison Avenue conference rooms, Monday morning slides told the blunt story. Female viewers aged 12 to 34, an elusive demo, jumped 286% during Clark's big night. This April, that spike evaporated, replaced by a modest 20% lift that never left the core college basketball diehards. Cross-generational pull, or demographic elasticity, is the phrase of the moment. And right now, only one athlete in women's hoops truly owns it. Bueckers herself is not the villain. She survived a torn ACL, averaged nearly 22 points on 49% shooting, and steered UConn back into late March relevance. She carries poise, solid mid-range craft, and the New England market in her pocket. But star power and drawing power are distant cousins. Plenty of players fill highlight reels. Precious few compel casual sports fans to persuade roommates, spouses, or bar patrons to change the channel. Clark does that, and she has done it whether playing Charlotte, South Carolina, or Nova Scotia via streaming logins. The depth of her statistical dominance explains part of the magnetism. 31.6 points per game, 8.9 assists, 7+ rebounds while carrying the highest usage rate in Division I, all on better than 60% true shooting. She scored or assisted on nearly 60% of Iowa's total offense, a burden that eclipses anything in modern men's or women's college records. Opponents rolled out box-and-ones, face guards, and triple teams, and still she splashed 30-footers that turned Twitter timelines into real-time watch parties. Those moments matter because they travel instantly across social feeds, drawing newcomers into broadcasts they otherwise would ignore. Geno's remarks about delusional Clark fans now read like a coach protecting his brand, and perhaps that is understandable. No program in the sport has converted dominance into mainstream attention quite like UConn, yet even a record 11 national titles never pulled ratings like Clark did in a February road game at Maryland. That juxtaposition unnerves gatekeepers across the collegiate and professional landscape. If one player from a non-blue blood state university can produce Super Bowl-adjacent digital chatter, the old power map shifts overnight. The league, meanwhile, sits at a strategic crossroads. Last autumn, it negotiated early-stage extensions with network partners predicated on the assumption that 2024 represented a sustainable new floor. Internal documents projected the 2025 draft between 1.8 and 2.0 million viewers. Missing low not only jeopardizes escalator clauses, but also signals caution to potential streaming bidders eyeing secondary packages. In short, the WNBA cannot treat phenom-driven spikes as windfalls. It must convert them into baseline expectations before the next right cycle closes. Social media delivered its verdict before the final pick. The phrase, "No Caitlyn, no ratings," topped domestic trends, eclipsing concurrent NHL playoff chatter. One meme stitched 2024's roaring crowd audio over 2025's polite applause, then cut to a deflating balloon. Vicious, yes, but emblematic of how quickly perception turns into internet lore, which in turn influences the next casual viewer deciding whether to flip channels. Still, solutions exist. First, stop framing Bueckers as Clark's heir apparent. Let her carve her own lane. Mid-range maestro, defensive disruptor, quietly ruthless competitor. Market contrasts rather than carbon copies. Remember how the NBA sold Magic versus Bird, or later Curry versus Westbrook? Clashing styles, mutual respect, no artificial villainy. Fans embraced both because broadcasts highlighted uniqueness instead of forcing either to dim so the other could shine. Second, lean into scheduling that maximizes organic stakes. Write Bueckers-Clark showdowns into national windows, but also spotlight evenings where each faces other rising stars like Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, or Juju Watkins. Give newcomers multiple entry points into the wider cast. Every sport thrives when followers feel they are missing something if they skip a random Thursday telecast. To achieve that, you need more than one it player. You need a constellation, and that requires patient storytelling. Third, amplify player voices. Clark routinely praises Bueckers' court vision. Bueckers calls Clark's shooting range absurd. Let that genuine admiration breathe on air instead of shoehorning did-you-know factoids fed by marketing departments. Modern audiences crave authenticity. When stars tell the story in their own words, skepticism melts. Trust is the currency that sustains ratings once novelty fades. Fourth, address production quality. The 2025 draft felt like a regional cable affair. Washed-out lighting, awkward stage blocking, hosts who stepped on each other's cues. Fans notice polish, and first impressions are unforgiving. Invest in rehearsal time, graphic packages optimized for social clipping, and camera angles that showcase personality. If the biggest night of a young athlete's life looks low budget, viewers subconsciously grade the league's ambition as low budget too. Finally, Geno himself could pivot from antagonist to elder statesman. Imagine him breaking down Clark's footwork with the same precision he uses to praise Diana Taurasi, or complimenting Bueckers without diminishing anyone else. Critique should never vanish, but tone matters. When the most decorated coach in the sport appears threatened, it signals scarcity instead of abundance. Women's basketball needs abundance thinking right now. Because here is the truth buried beneath viewership charts: there has never been more raw talent, better training, or wider distribution channels for the women's game. From Europe to Africa to small-town America, skill pipelines funnel prospects into colleges and soon into a NBA that will expand to 16 franchises before the end of the decade. Paige Bueckers is good for that growth. So is Angel Reese's swagger, Cameron Brink's rim protection, Haley Jones's versatility, and countless others. But the tip of the spear, the transcendent headline generator, is still Caitlin Clark, and any strategy that pretends otherwise risks repeating April's hard lesson.